Welcome back again. Today we're going to be talking about real estate. What it's like to buy a home for first-time home buyers, for new beginners that are looking to get started in real estate or perhaps already are in real estate and are looking to upgrade and acquire more properties. And in this market right now that we're in, it is very, very confusing, overwhelming. Um, there's so many different people telling you to go this direction, that direction, do this, do that. And I want to just break down a few simple pointers and, in my opinion, some advice and some tips that may help you. So first of all, if you're a first-time home buyer and you've been in the market for a long time, looking to buy, I think right now is a great time. The prices have dropped significantly since the peak of COVID. There is some incredible deals out there right now. And the interest rate has dropped a bit. It's probably going to drop a bit more, but regardless, we do know the prices have dropped. Are they going to drop more? Possibly in the next 6-12 months, maybe a bit, but there's also a chance that that the properties are going to go up in value again. And we don't have the crystal ball to predict what the future is going to bring. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market, in the economy right now, with jobs, job loss, job uncertainty, tariffs, all of that stuff. But the one thing is for sure that it's been a rough 2025 for most Canadians. A lot of people have been holding on to purchases that they otherwise would have bought, things they would have otherwise bought. They've been holding off now for quite some time because of the tariffs. Nobody's going to buy a new truck, buy a new ATV, snowmobile, whatever it is, if you're worried that you're going to lose your job. So some of that uncertainties, I think, is going to remain there for quite some time until we have some more clarity on the Canadian-U.S. trade market. But again, the one thing that is clear is there's been a delay for 6 months plus, where people have been delaying those purchases. Some of those people are going to start buying again, and people are getting tired of just waiting and holding on. And I think overall the economy is doing pretty good. Maybe not the auto sector, but home construction has certainly gone up. I talked to a lot of builders, people in the business, home builders, carpenters, bricklayers, every trade, and they're a lot busier now than they were 6 months ago. So somebody's building more homes for sure. Some of the big builders are still not building as much as they used to, especially during COVID or before COVID, but that could slowly change again. But with all that being said, once that picks up and once there is more certainty, I believe the properties will go up in price, especially if the interest rates drop to somewhat of an affordable rate again. They may not drop much, but they're a lot better today already than they were a year ago, 2 years ago. They're a lot better right now already. So right now is kind of that perfect, I think kind of the perfect buying time, because prices will most likely go up. Interest rates could come down a bit. I don't think they're going to go up anytime soon. So regardless of interest rates, if the prices go up, that means now is a good time. And I don't think the prices are going to go up much in the next 6 months, 12 months, unless something crazy changes again. You never know the amount of money the country's printing. It could go up 10% a year again, 15%, who knows? But regardless, I think it's a good time to buy. But the bigger thing that I wanted to point out is not everything is a good buy. So don't go into the market thinking that you're going to be able to buy a $500,000, $600,000 home and it's going to go up 5-10% every year. It could, but unless you're in a really good market or you can improve the value of the house, I wouldn't buy that right now if you're a first-time home buyer. Here's what I would buy. I would look for properties that can be converted into duplexes, or that have duplexes, where you can finish the basement, or it's already finished, set up for a duplex. And right now, if you live in the back or in the basement and rent out the upstairs, it's probably not going to pay your mortgage completely, but it's going to help you a lot in your mortgage. Because the other thing you got to remember, there's it's not only the mortgage payments. You have property tax, you have propane, gas, heating, hydro. There's all the different costs involved in a house. Plus, you have upkeep and maintenance. And most people try to improve the house, add some value, so if they do sell and upgrade in the future, that they can. So, but all those things cost a lot. So if you have that additional unit in the basement or upstairs or in the back or whatever it is, if you can rent that out for $1,500 a month, or even $2,000 or $2,500, whatever the case is, that's going to help you a lot for your mortgage, help you a lot with your mortgage payments. Or even if you make the mortgage payments, you can use all that money to upgrade the house, maybe add a new furnace, new roof, new floor, new kitchen. There's a lot of things that you can do in a house to significantly increase the value, so that if you do decide to sell it in the future, that it's going to be worth more. The other thing that I think a lot of people forget is, a lot of people, they want to buy the first home. They want that to be their perfect home. And I think you should come in with a mindset of just buy a house, buy something that hopefully you can get for a good deal, and add some value, hopefully. And ideally, if you can have a basement or a granny suite or something down the lines of that to rent that part out and help you with the mortgage payments. Those are all great options, but look for a house that has, maybe it's not in an ideal location. Maybe it is 40, 50 minutes away from work. But as long as you can afford it comfortably. So, buy a house that has a really good price. Try to stay under $400,000 if you can, unless you have a spouse that's working and you're approved. But yeah, you're approved for a lot more. But regardless, I wouldn't spend more than $500 on a first time on your first house, regardless of where it is and how much money you make, because that first time home buyer price range is something you can always sell out quickly. So let's just say you buy that house for $400,000. You do a bit of work to it, and you finish the basement, you rent out the basement, helps you with the mortgage payments, and say you want to sell that 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. There is a much larger pool of buyers for that. Say you increase the value and it's worth $500,000 now. There's a lot more buyers in that pool of $500,000 price range than there is on that $600,000 or $700,000. So if you buy a house that's $500,000 or $600,000 right now and you increase the value, say you buy it for $500,000 and you increase the value and it's now worth $600,000, that pool is a lot smaller. So once you do, say 3 years down the road, you find your dream property and you want to upgrade, great. Now you're going to need to put a condition on selling your house first. And if you can't sell your house quick enough, there's a good chance that you're going to miss out that opportunity. But if you're in a price range where you have much more competition, much more buyers, you're going to sell your house for a lot quicker. So I think it's always a good idea to start low. And if you want to upgrade and you have the means and the money to upgrade later on, perfect. Sell the house, move on. There is so much money to be made in real estate if you're willing to move and upgrade. And once you commit to a house that's worth $500,000 now or $600,000, and say the economy doesn't get any better and things don't get, prices don't go up, you're going to have a very hard time. It might still be worth $600,000. Say you buy a house now that's worth $600,000, and the economy doesn't get better for 2 years. Even if that house is worth $600,000 after It might be worth 600 to the appraisal, but if it takes you 60 days, 90 days to sell, you're still going to have a hard time selling that house to upgrade quickly to another one. So anyway, that's one of the things that I would advise first-time homebuyers right now is to buy something that needs a bit of work, and you can always get a mortgage with a purchase plus improvement, meaning, if you buy a house for 350 now and it needs $50,000 worth of renovations, and you get some quotes together, you can go to the bank and say, hey, it's going to cost me 400,000, 350 for the house plus 50 for the renovation. Can I borrow 400,000? And if you have the credit and the income to support that loan, then they will give you that $50,000 loan once you've done those renovations. So, if there's a house on the market that needs a bit of work, don't let that scare you, because there's lots of ways to borrow the money to fix that up and make that house perfect. And say now you have 400,000 into the house, 350 for the house, 50,000 for the renovation cost, and if it's worth 450, that's instantly $50,000 of equity that you've gained. And if it goes up another 5% in the next couple of years, by the time you're going to be ready to upgrade, that house is worth now 500,000. And if it's worth 500,000, and the house is move-in ready, and you added a new kitchen, some new paint, somebody's going to buy it very, very quickly for 500,000, which means you can sell it quick and also jump on another opportunity. So anyway, that's the one pointer. The other thing is, if you do have a house already right now and you're looking to maybe get into real estate, or you want to get another property or something, another good option is rent out your house that you currently have and buy another one with 5% down payment. Now, some people think that you can only buy one house with a 5% down, and that's not true. The thing that people get confused often is you only get the first-time homebuyer rebate once. So say it's a $4,000 land transfer tax, you get that rebate, but that's only on your first home. So after that, it doesn't matter anyway. But the fact is that you can now rent out your house. Say you bought it 3 years ago and your mortgage is $2,000 a month. And if you can rent that house out for $2,500 a month, great, rent it out. Get your leases and your contracts in place, and now you can go to the bank and say, look, I've got a mortgage of X amount, but it's being paid for by the tenants. So the way the bank looks at it is not a liability, because the tenants are paying for it. Now you might be able to approve for another house, maybe for another mortgage of $350,000. So buy that second house with a 5% down, and move in there, and now you got two homes. One is the first one that you bought a couple years ago. You're getting your tenants to pay that off, and you can live in another house. So that's another option. Another good house hack right now, I think, is pooling together people. There's a lot of duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes even, with very low rents. Tenants have been in there for years, and they're not paying a lot of rent. But it's really hard for an investor to come in and purchase that property and kick out the tenants, especially if they've always paid on time. It's really hard to kick them out. But if you move in yourself, you can serve them with the right form, and they can, I forget how many days, but anyway, there's an X amount of days that they have to find something else, and then you can legally move in. So for example, if there's a fourplex for sale, if you're looking to buy a fourplex, find 3 other people and partner up together. You all own equal shares in it, buy it together, and you can each do 5% down, because you're going to be living in it. It's going to be your house. You can buy it with 5% down. Each of the 4 people pool their money together, 5% down, and you purchase this fourplex. Say you can buy one for $600,000, or say $800,000. That's only $200,000 per unit. So the mortgage on that is not going to be that much. It might be $1,200, $1,500 a month. Move in there, first kick out the tenants. Legally, you can kick them out because you're going to be moving in there. Move in there, paint it up a bit, maybe add a new kitchen, do a bit of work, and then in a year, 2, 3 years down the road, you can either sell your part or get everybody to agree to sell it and buy something else, or keep it as a rental and buy something else. Now you have a rental that's going to slowly, the tenants over 25, 30 years, the tenants are going to pay off your mortgage, and you have a rental property that's producing cash flow. So that's another great hack. Another very good hack is to buy something with another lot. So for example, if you can buy a house where you can sever off a piece of land or something that already has 2 lots, you can get an appraisal on that lot to say that this lot is going to be worth $150,000 once it's all done, once it's severed, and purchase the house, maybe do a bit of work to it, again, increase the value, sell the house, and keep the lot. Now you have equity as collateral. You can buy another one, or you can sell the lot, or perhaps even build your home on it. And if that lot is $150,000, that's pretty much a free $150,000. So I just had a client that did that recently in Seaforth. Property was worth about $500,000. There was another lot with it. He confirmed with a lawyer that it was severable without going through the severance process, because it was already 2 lots on its own. And they purchased the home, and the lot, I think, appraised for $140,000. They're going to do a bit of work to the house. They're going to live in it for maybe a year or 2. They're going to sell the house, maybe make a bit of money, maybe not. Doesn't really matter. It's basically a free house because you've paid your mortgage down a bit. And if the property value increases over time, it's going to be worth a little bit more. Plus, if they can improve it and add some value, it's going to be worth more. And maybe in 2 years down the road, they're going to sell it, and now they have a building lot where they can either sell that and pull out $140,000 cash, or you can build a house on it. And if you build a house on it, and if you live there for a year or 2, you can now sell that house with a lot without paying any capital gains on it, if it's been your primary residence for at least 1 year. So that's another great hack, and there's lots of opportunities right now. You have to do a little bit of due diligence on that to make sure that the lot is severanceable, that it can be separated. Another option, this is a little more for the experienced people, is buy a lot right now. There is so many building lots for sale all across Ontario, and buy a lot, and maybe you have to borrow the money or line of credit, or if you have the cash, pay it out. Typically the banks want to see that you own the land outright. So if you get a private mortgage on it, that's not going to work. But if you can borrow some money from your parents or some friends or whatever the case is, buy a lot for, say, $150,000 and get a private mortgage on it. You can go through banks too. There's banks that'll lend you, but it's normally a little harder. Now, private costs a lot more. It's usually 12% a month interest rate, so it's pretty high. But if you can borrow the money for the lot and if you have enough or make enough money, or you can borrow enough money for the payments of that, you can build a house on there, and you don't need no notarian to build your own home. You can either build your own home, be the general contractor and hire everything out, or you can hire somebody. There is a lot of guys that are experienced builders that would gladly build a home for you. They might charge $50,000, but that means you can still keep your job. They're going to manage the project completely for you. You just sit down with a designer, you design your house, get it all approved, and once you get the permits pulled, they will take over and handle the project from there. It's going to take about 6 months, maybe 8 months to complete the project, and then you can get a mortgage on it. And normally you want to get a pre-approval before you start all this to make sure if you can get a mortgage of X amount for that house. But yeah, typically it's a lot easier once you have the house built to get a mortgage on it. So once the house is built, you can go to credit union or banks or mortgage brokers and say it's worth, you get an appraisal for it and it's worth $700,000, but it only costs you $550,000 or maybe $600,000. Typically you can borrow 80% against that $700,000. So you can now pull out enough money to pay back that $150,000 loan that you borrowed from your parents, to pay them back, and then you have a mortgage of whatever the amount would be, say $500,000 or $550,000. And the other, yeah, you don't have to build a big 1,500 square feet home. You can build something small. You can build a small little house that would cost you, $250,000, $300,000, maybe $350,000. But let's use $350,000 for example. So if you buy a lot for $150,000, which there's plenty out in Ontario, and you build a house on it for $350,000, that's $500,000. So if, all in it costs you $500,000, $150,000 was borrowed. So when you do an appraisal and it's worth $600,000, you can borrow 80% against that and get most of your money out, maybe not all of it. Then you can live in that house for, typically you want to live in it for at least a year, preferably 2. You don't need no notarial license once you moved in. In fact, you cannot get a house registered under Tarion if you have lived in it. They will not warranty any used homes. CMHC wants to see that the house is at least a year old before they will mortgage it. So CMHC is the insurer company that insures the bank that they're going to pay the loan if the client doesn't pay. If people are buying a house with 5 or 10% down. If the purchaser of that house is buying it with 20% down, then you can sell it within 3 months. There's legally no issue selling it